budget for the Camino. It's an old topic, but it's one that's never going to go away. Why am I bothering to cover this again? Well, quite frankly, since April of last year till now, so just over a year, costs have risen. It's as simple as that. Let's face it, the world we live in includes this horrible thing called inflation. Some costs have gone up more than inflation, but to be quite frank, they're just playing catch up. A very good example is April last year, I was paying €8 for a Junta albergue in Galicia, and by July, that cost was €10. Now, €2, you think, wow, that's nothing, right? But when you think about it in perspective, that is a 25% increase. Yeah, 25%. Long overdue, but I guess they just couldn't be bothered with all the paperwork necessary to increase it by 50 cents or €1. Okay, so in terms of Camino budget, what do you have to spend? A fellow forum member still manages to get by on €26 a day. What do you get for that? Well, there are still €8 beds to be found on the Francaise and one or two of the other Caminos. They are much fewer and further between than they used to be. There are, of course, still your donativos, but please, if you can, pay what you would pay for a comparable albergue elsewhere. So if you're paying €10 or €12 normally, please give the guys, the donativos, the same. They're not actually supported by anybody but your donations. And what you give affects what the next pilgrim is going to receive. Simple as that, really. So, to continue with what he gets for his €26, he was predominantly making his own food or buying food at the supermarket. And by that, I'm talking about those prepackaged salads, perhaps a ready-made pasta meal, ingredients for his sandwiches for the day, fruit, of course, and so forth. I believe that he included a coffee a day in that. Whether he included much more, well, maybe when he was ahead of budget he did. But predominantly that's how he was getting by. So what's the next level? Well, probably 35 to €40 a day. And for that, you get a significant amount more. You're getting your coffees, you're getting perhaps a pastry or two, a slice of tortilla, half-decent meal, a pilgrim's menu in other words, once a day. And yeah, that's maybe even chucking in the odd cheap hotel, because it is still possible to find a cheap hotel for around €35 for a night. Not everywhere, you do have to keep your eyes open for them, but they exist. Most of us, probably something like 50%, seem to be in the €40 to €50 bracket. And for that, you're getting pretty much the lot. You're getting breakfast out, you're getting lunch, and whether it's in terms of a bocadillo or some other sort of sandwich, fruit, of course, from the supermarket, perhaps the odd yogurt or two, a Sprite, a soft drink or an Aquarius, an afternoon coffee with perhaps some kind of cake or something as well, and pilgrim's menu or occasionally a decent restaurant menu at the end of the day. You're not worrying as much about where you're staying in terms of the albergues, and most definitely for me was probably once a week I would be staying at a cheap hotel for this price. All of that within that €40 to €50. I had budgeted €50 a day for my Primitivo, and I came in under that. Not a lot under that, but to be fair, there were 2 nights where I paid a ridiculous amount. I paid €100 a night for a private apartment, purely because it was a weekend where nothing cheaper was available and I really needed some space. This is what happens if you don't pre-book everything. You've just got to go with the flow and take what's available. But you know what? It was worth it. It was a great apartment and I really enjoyed my space. All right, guys. I hope this has been helpful to everybody. Thanks for watching. Buen Camino.